Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Visionary Leaders Podcast. My name is, excuse me, my name is Aisha Harley, and I'm one of the founders, and we're thrilled to have you here today. Please join us every Monday at 10 a.m. Pacific Time as we explore all things wellness, essential oils, and doTERRA. If you miss an episode, you can catch up anytime on YouTube, Apple Podcast, or Spotify. Stay connected by signing up for our newsletter and text reminders at hellovisionary.life. We are so happy you're here with us live today. We have the follow-up Q&A with the incredible Dr. Josie Schmidt. This is a continuation of our recent hormone health class, where we explored the powerful connection between foundational wellness and healthy hormonal balance, especially as we age. If you missed the original webinar, it is available on YouTube and our podcast channels. However, I recommend checking it out on YouTube because there is a slideshow that accompanies it. We encourage you to check it out for a deeper dive into how your daily wellness habits impact everything from mood and metabolism to energy, sleep, and long-term hormonal resilience. Today will be an ongoing discussion, continued support, and we will share practical ways to apply what we learned. So please type any questions you may have in the chat, and I'm going to pass the call on over to Arin.
Thanks, Aisha. I'm excited to be here and talk more about hormones. This webinar that Josie did was so informative. I got tons of great feedback. People were really appreciating the data and the information and the wisdom. And there's so much to talk about when it comes to hormones. So we would love to dive in, especially if you have follow-up questions. So I'll start with a few for you, Josie, and then everybody else, please put any questions that you have about hormones, and especially if you were on the webinar and you wanted some more clarity. So Josie, one thing I'd really love to know is when you talk about the Clary Calm essential oil, and you said that you use it every day and it's great for your hormones, could you explain to us how the essential oils positively impact our hormones?
Well, the essential oils, I went in the presentation, I tried to make some distinctions about phytoestrogens and explaining them, and then also polyphenol compounds. And they're all from plants, and most phytoestrogens are also polyphenols. And polyphenols are in a broad category of just highly anti-inflammatory antioxidant constituents from plants. And then the phytoestrogens are constituents from plants that have a hormonal, and pretty much what we're talking about is like an estrogenic, progesteronic, the sex hormones, testosterone, potential effects. So it's like a subcategory. And in Clary Calm, it is as are all of our essential oils, these are extracts from plants. So these are the chemical compounds, and most of them are different kinds and grades of polyphenols. And then a few of our plant extracts are phytoestrogens. And so they can have that estrogenic effect. And some are ones that we want to be are stronger, and we're kind of like, okay, we really want to know, like fennel is one sometimes people think of like if they with birth and things like that, they might want to be, careful or watch it have an estrogenic effect. But a lot of these plant compounds that are phytoestrogenic have that ability that we like to talk about, where we call there's different names, amphoteric, or the ability to they're flexible and they can upregulate and downregulate in if you need more of something, they can go that way, but if you need less of it, they go that way. They have that smart intelligence, the plants with us. And so the phytoestrogen compound herbs that are in Clary Calm are safe for everybody. They have that kind of flexible intelligence, but they exert gentle effects that if we are low, let's say we are actually truly as we're in perimenopause towards menopause low in estrogen, they can help fill in into receptor sites, those kind of empty spaces because we're losing our estrogen, something like Clary Sage. And so it's a gentle estrogen effect in what would have been an empty, we call them, I use the metaphor of a seats on a bus, empty bus seat, empty receptor site. Now you have it filling that in, exerting a gentle estrogen effect. But let's say you're in the middle of your cycle and you have what we're calling relative estrogen dominance. Like you have too much estrogen effect happening, and you have your strong estrogen the that you produce in your body, and you might even be having xenoestrogens from the outside world affecting you, like plastics, things that we find in plastics filling in those receptor sites. If you use something like Clary Calm, you're going to have that phytoestrogen fill in one of those seats on the bus or receptor site, however it works in your brain to think of it, exerting a gentle, a less than effect than a bad um like plastic xenoestrogen or a very strong estradiol in your body that is being too much because you don't have enough progesterone, let's say. So in either case, it is helping. That's that idea of like too much, it can help. Too little, it can help. Um, but the blend only has a few phytoestrogens. It has phytoestrogens, but then it also has beautiful, we can pull the blend up if we want. I can go if I don't know if anyone has it.
I'll pull it
It
up for you,
has
Aisha.
a lot of harmonizers and other herbs in there that help balance it as well. And so it's a blend that is helping our liver a little bit. It has at least it has bergamot in it. It is working with our detoxification pathways. It is working with the ways in which, I talked about the polyphenols help us in those detoxification pathways, in those clearances. Um, and it's supporting us in a lot lymphatically in those so all those ways.
So it has clary sage, lavender, bergamot, Roman chamomile, ylang, cedarwood, geranium, fennel, carrot seed, palmarosa, and vitex. And vitex, by the way, is also known as chase tree berry, which perhaps you've been given that as a tincture from a natural doctor. So we have that as the oil in there.
Yeah, Vitex is really one of the ones we think about as the herb for when you are in your full cycle and helping to balance the phases of our cycle as it goes through the luteal phase and helping to balance that. So
So is it important, and I will come to Asha's question and Marilyn and Jamie. Um, is it important to use the phytoestrogen along with the essential oil? Do they work together, or would it be okay to just use one or the other? What are your thoughts on that?
well, you know me. When it comes to natural support, I kind of am like more is better. So I feel like they very synergistic and they really work to support one another. And so especially when you're taking something orally and it's working through your digestive system and your bloodstream that way versus and going through detoxification with your liver we call that the portal. It goes through the portal vein in the liver, and it's going through all of those kind of pathways that we think about for digestion. Versus when you're putting it on your skin and you're absorbing it through the different layers of the dermis, the skin, and then it's getting directly into your bloodstream without going through your digestion and your liver filtration detoxification pathways. Um, those are just different mechanisms of how it's getting to your cells. And so, yeah, supporting the body in all those, all like I would say they're synergistic and they work slightly differently, and doing both is is recommended. And the big take home for me over these last few years was sort of seeing how much these polyphenols really support our hormone cycles and us through our cycle, through perimenopause, menopause, in terms of all of the symptoms of dysregulation of hormones and as they're changing and shifting and supporting us to just have all of that be healthy and smooth transitions. So I used to think of polyphenols more as anti-inflammatory, helping against just inflammation, pain, and big things like cellular integrity or like, getting anti-cancerous, that kind of stuff. I didn't put it in the category of hormone support as much. And that's really kind of one of the big take homes, I think, that I've been learning over the last few years and that I wanted to really bring in that is, oh no, this is like taking really good polyphenols, high level, good quality ones through through your life as a woman. Your whole cycle in life is super important. It's probably it's at the high level. Like when you say the top five, if there were only I was on a desert island and there's only five herbs I could take to support my hormonal health, what would they be? I'm going to tell you that probably at least two to three of those five should be like super polyphenols.
And to clarify for everybody, what is a polyphenol?
I know I have to go like that's why I do those presentations. Let's look up like what's the exact definition of their compounds from plants that are their chemical constituents, and they're the think back, have you heard us talking about the phenolic compounds? Um, they can be they come from the fruiting parts of plants. They come from the roots. I mean, it's down to the constituents. I'd have to look and see what did I write as the exact definition. In my mind, I think of them as the heavy hitting parts, the super medicinal compound parts in that come from plant medicine when we kind of want like it's great to have we can talk about fiber. And that's an important piece too. We do need to talk about fiber for hormones. It's really important. And so that's that part of like the plant that's all the infrastructure and kind of like the stem and the stalk and everything. But it's not the like the extracted medicine. Um,
So
that's
are
a lot
you
of the
saying that polyphenols are the essential oils? The Clary Calm essential oils, are those considered polyphenols?
yes, a lot of them are. Like all of the parts of the essential oils, when we say essential oils are the part of the immune system of the plant. Remember how we used to talk about that? And that they ward off, not only bugs and predators and but also they ward off and they keep the plant safe from mold and from yeast and from bacteria and from viruses, all of the threats. What's the part in the plant that is doing that we're extracting? Those are the polyphenol compounds.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so Asha wants to dive into phytoestrogen. So she'd love an explanation about how the phytoestrogen helps your hormones. Also, is there bad phytoestrogen good do we have to worry about avoiding because of breast cancer? So can you dive into the phytoestrogen part
Yeah,
of this?
so I think I did initially. I saw that first question and about kind of how they're working. And that I loved to hear, my mentor for the second year in a row, Tori Hudson, naturopathic physician, who's kind of the number I in my mind the number one um physician with the most experience in women's medicine on hormones and menopause. And she was saying this year, like definitively, that no, phytoestrogens are not linked with cancer. It's mostly breast cancer that people, but the cancers and the oncologists, if they are still saying that, and a lot of them are like no estrogen, it's just this kind of blanket thing across the board, that they're behind the times. They just don't know. They're literally uninformed.
Okay, so on that same subject, there's a question about if I'm on HRT, like an estradiol, um, a patch or a suppository or a pill, can I still use Clary Calm or is it too much? So what about HRT in conjunction with the essential oils and Clary Calm?
No, I use Clary Calm all every day still, and I have an HRT patch,
Me
and
too.
progesterone pill at night. If not using the natural medicine, the natural our supports and our medicines in conjunction with HRT is, in my opinion, the way to go. When you do HRT, you want to what the motto for naturopaths is go low and slow. And I mean that's really the motto with any medication, especially a hormone, right? We are replacing a lost hormone. But it's if you've ever driven a clutch, what is that called? Standard car? Thing, it's a this. And let me tell you, I'm here to say I think the average is 8 years of this, and it can be longer. So it's like you're going through this slow decreasing of your hormones, and then you want to at a point start replacing. And that's all. And the HRT is a big conversation, and it really needs to be done individually in a one-to-one with with a doctor. But in that, the ideal world is that as you're going through your cycle, you're supporting, I would say, with something like Clary Calm and something like the deep blue polyphenol complex. I love the turmeric duo. I also like the old Alpha CRS. Any of those formulas are fantastic. And supporting with, the minimum of those, I would argue, together with also the foundational habits of the omega, the VMG, and a good probiotic. I love all of that in support. And then that is really helping all of your systems going through that change. And then let so as you are now coming into a decreasing amount of actual sex hormones and you're thinking about working with the patch, you're more in balance. Your detoxification pathways are working in a more, stream healthy manner, especially if you have any gene snips, and you are not having extreme symptoms of menopause. Menopause is not a disease. Technically, there should not be extreme symptoms of menopause. If we are having them, that is showing you further comprehensive imbalance in your system. So, then like the reason to take HRT is not to get rid of hot flashes. We should not be having hot flashes. We should be doing natural medicine to not have hot flash, in my opinion, to not have hot flashes, to not to be sleeping well, to be feeling vibrant, all these things. That can be achieved with our natural medicines. We take HRT to support our brain and not move into, in the later years, dementia and Alzheimer's, to first and foremost support our bones, to not go into the 1 in 3 women who gets a fracture and breaks her hip and dies that way. We take hormones to support our cardiovascular system against all of the ways in which the decrease of estrogen enhances all metabolic disease associated in the cardiovascular system. So it's preventative for the last 20 to 30 years of our life for us not going into disease patterns. But I would like to make the argument, if taking HRT to get out of like bad hot flashes and other symptoms of menopause, I mean, I think that's not good practice, and that's not going to end well. It's not enough, and it's not the right kind of support. And so when you're using the natural medicine to support you in all these other ways, and then you bring in the HRT to be doing its job, you just need a little bit. You need the lowest dose, and you want to start slow and low, and ideally you stay low. You don't need to go as high, because you're actually using these other supports to be supporting some of your, with estrogenic effect, some of the estrogens, so that you don't need to go up to levels of like 1 or 2 milligrams of estrogen. You can stay at 0.25, 0.375, and zero point 0.5.
That's a great distinction, Josie. What I'm hearing you say is it doesn't necessarily have to be either or. You can use the natural medicine to support the symptoms like hot flashes, maybe stress, sleep issues. Somebody in the chat was asking about the connection between hormone and pelvic floor health, which, yes, right? Your hormones affect that.
Yes, and I want to make the distinction about hormone use. So, for brain health, for cardiovascular health, and for bone health, we are talking, I think someone asked, is it synthetic? Either I'm not talking synthetic, I'm talking bioidentical. So when you mean bioidentical hormone replacement therapy, it's not considered synthetic. It's considered identical to what our body makes. And it is that's one of the differentiations also with some of the data that we like to um show now. It is being shown that there are the difference in data between what was the old form of estrogen given, which was synthetic, made from horse urine, equine estrogen, versus bioidentical estrogen. And we don't have as the data is still coming around with bioidentical progesterone. They haven't recognized that as much as the importance, but so I do always recommend bioidentical progesterone and estrogen. Now, with the taking those, that's considered systemic hormone therapy. That is different than local hormone therapy. Local hormone therapy is vaginal estrogen cream. Um, Someone asked, who was I talking about? I was talking about one of my mentors and a great teacher who is still practicing and teaching. Her name is Dr. Tori Hudson, naturopathic physician. She has a term she calls vaginal estrogen cream the magic medicine. I love it. I think it's hysterical. And she says there is not, there is like, there's no woman past menopause who shouldn't be on vaginal estrogen cream at some point. And you'll see things on social media of some doctors who are really trying to bring awareness to this because one of the there's there's two big ways women die. One is from breaking a hip. I mean, really, like at the end of life, die. Those last 10 years and what they look like. And then there are kidney infections, vaginal UTI tract infections, um, and that turn into worse infections and kill women because as you get older and more frail and your immune system gets more frail, a UTI can kill you. You don't present with the same symptoms. You don't get a fever. This just happened. My mom almost died last summer from a UTI. I flew in and I probably saved her life because I recognized when we took her to the emergency room and it was a whole thing. And it was like, yeah, she had none of the presenting symptoms. And that is what it looks like in the elderly. And vaginal estrogen cream keeps your vaginal flora and your vaginal tract in a healthier state from getting super thin, and it keeps these things from happening. The systemic estrogen therapy keeps helps our bones stay stronger. Um, so I would say, and that's something that you have time and it's a simple therapy. I think I don't know. Erin, do you know of women who are doing estrogenic natural DIY with phytoestrogen vaginal creams? I I think they might exist. I think as you get older, probably closer to 60, you're going to want to put a little tiny bit of estriol in there.
Yeah, the only thing I know of for natural would be vaginal steams with herbs
Hmm.
that are going to help with blood flow and vaginal health.
Yeah.
You certainly could be making your own vaginal cream with something like a little bit of geranium or a little bit of copaiba or frankincense. But I don't know if that's going to be a replacement to using what we have available in estrogen cream. I mean, the way that I'm starting to look at it as a very avid natural health person who's in perimenopause is an appreciation for where we're going in our medical advancement, especially when you work with a practitioner who absolutely respects and supports plant medicine as well.
Yeah.
So I don't think anymore does it have to be this either or, it can be both.
No. I think you can work along with a lot of natural medicine for vaginal tissue like integrity and health and work with it. I mean, a lot of them combine DHEA and natural forms of DHEA, which is the precursor to testosterone for women. Um, and and that's a piece of that too. And so I would that's what I have not started using, I'm honest, with vaginal cream yet. I haven't needed to. Um, so it is a thing of menopause, and for some women it starts in perimenopause. And someone asked, are we talking about vaginal atrophy? Yes. And it becomes as you get older, it becomes a very crucial part of your overall full body your health and important. And someone asked here, are you recommending for women? Yes, HRT and eventually it can be vaginal estrogen cream concurrently. You can do one or the other. They don't replace each other. They do different things. If you're on HRT, you probably won't need, you might not, it's woman to woman. You might not need um vaginal estrogen cream as soon. And you could work that and work with natural combinations for longer. Hmm. So just know that they're kind of they're separate treatments in a way. And that And like for women who have histories for whom with breast cancer themselves, or where estrogenic cancers, and it has been decided between them and their physician that systemic hormone therapy cream is not good for, right for them, that then I can tell you definitely vaginal estrogen cream is okay, local estrogen cream. And that's something that I think oncologists have been to, that was Tori Hudson saying, across the board. And that becomes, as we get older, a very crucial part of our health as women.
So another question we have in here is what is the protocol for the postmenopausal woman? Is it the same? Is it still the phytoestrogen, the Clary Calm, the supplements, or is there something different the postmenopausal woman is taking with the doTERRA products?
With the doTERRA, phytoestrogen, yes. I would say yes to the Clary Calm. Um, all the vitamins and the stuff, no, it's the same. I mean, that was the thing of one of the things I was trying to point out, like Erin, you're saying you're on DIM, and so that idea where you're asking like, oh, do you want to be doing the natural and the HRT? Aren't they going to cancel each other out? No, it's a yes and. The one thing is when you have something so dim, and it stands for diindolylmethane, and it's kind of they're isolated constituents from the broccoli and cabbage and the brassica family, really helpful for impaired metabolism of estrogen. So you find that out by doing some extra testing and with like hormone testing and gene snips, and where you've heard me talk about these kind of metabolites as your liver is breaking down the estrogen, it can go into a couple different, you can turn right, you can turn left, or you can go in the center, right? A couple different pathways. And not all pathways are equal. There's an O4, an O2, an O16, and it's like right, left, or center. And one way is healthy, one way is kind of not great, and the other way is kind of like really bad, not good. And so the DIM helps shunt those metabolites towards the good pathway and away from the bad ones. I hope that helps people with the explanation. And so it's a really helpful thing to take while you're cycling, while you have a cycle. And the issue is like if you continuing to take it while you're in menopause, though, and you're taking HRT, your body is metabolizing that HRT differently. And that's a case where it is going to work against the HRT you're actually taking. So, like HRT and DIM don't work, would not be taken together. And that's kind of an issue. That's kind of an interesting, I think it goes back to where we talk about that the strength of like single isolated constituents and how they can be too much just like one way, one pathway versus let's talk about like there's a lot of brassica, there's broccoli sprout seeds and extracts and cabbage and stuff like in the VMG. Those are natural forms, non-isolated constituents of DIM that are going to be supporting you, but not kind of like punching like no a one way thing. And so that's where the natural form is going to be supportive in menopause versus the DIM is too strong.
That's great to hear. So what I'm hearing is in once you're past menopause, you don't want to be taking the concentrated DIM, but you could
Yeah.
absolutely be taking the VMG and still get some of the benefits
Yeah.
of the brassicas family. Such good information. Okay, does anybody else have more questions for Josie? This is so beneficial and helpful. Asha is telling us that she uses the lymph blend internally as a lube, which I
Yeah.
would say is going to help with vaginal health. So you can use this blend as um, like a moisturizer for
Yes.
your vagina. which would be frankincense, wild orange, geranium, and grapefruit in a carrier oil. Now it's going to need to be diluted enough because the grapefruit, the orange, and the geranium could have a warming or like a sensation that's not comfortable. So maybe, Asha, you can tell us your ratios that you use there. Yes, it just was asked. And I know that I was seeing if
She's
Dr.
saying
Mika was here.
20 drops in how much? I probably 2 ounces.
And we have Mika, who does have an incredible
Yes.
hormone blend that I have personally rubbed on my belly, my armpits, and my vagina, and it works great. So, what is your blend, Dr. Mika?
Yeah.
And tell us about it.
Josie, this is such, Dr. Josie, such great information. I didn't want to butt in because it was just so juicy. But yeah, first of all, the VMG instead of DIM, yeah, at postmenopausal is so great. But all along, the foundation should be VMG or LLV or postmenopausal. What I'm doing is VMG and my LLV because of the amount of polyphenols in the LLV. So that's one thing. The other thing, okay, I don't want to get off track because this is your time, but I have to
No.
post the hormone blend, but that's so great, Arin. Yes, a vaginal to support the vaginal lining even before menopause, even before perimenopause. It's a great sexual lubricant. And you can, like a twofer, like Dr. Josie says, twofer. You can have a sexual lubricant and also nourish your vaginal lining. So start using it sooner rather than later. So we'll post that. You think I have it in my head by now, but I don't.
I have it in my notes, so I'll get it
Okay.
posted.
Okay. The other thing I want to just say is moms, I started thinking about my daughter's health, menstrual health, and hormone health when she was 6. Because I wanted to prepare her to not have the menstrual cramps, which like you said, Dr. Josie, that doesn't need to be there. I know you didn't say that for cramps, but hormones, like all of that is PMS. That doesn't have to happen. And so I just want you to know to get your kids, your young women on that, the A to Z vitamins, the kids probiotics, that we still do the fairy frankincense tea. I started her on that to support her liver filtration. It's before she had a menstrual cycle. So that's frankincense, wild orange, and ginger in a fun teapot. And that's the morning drink. I mean, we could all still be doing that, but make it fun for your young women. Fairy frankincense tea. And then when they get older and they're off, they'll probably still have fairy frankincense tea. That will help prepare your child, your young woman, ushering her into being a young woman, right? From childhood to young woman with no problem, no problem. With sleep, with menstrual cycle, energy. It could be seamless for your young women if you're a mom. So I just wanted to say that too.
Mika, I want to transition this into an interesting conversation, which it brings us back to polyphenols. And then Arin was asking me something like, I don't know of a safer form of this high level, beautiful plant medicine, the
Yeah.
polyphenols, than to use essential oils in water in in a dose like a tea orally over time. That is, I think, the safest form. Like you're saying to drink this for the kids, but I want to stress this because as we know more and more about the whole gene code, and we know these things called gene SNPs where we have variations in our genes about how how we're all super individuals and how we deal with things, right? And like whether we have detoxification pathway issues where we can tolerate, like one person does great with something and another person doesn't. Why? All of that has to do with a lot of that, these gene SNPs and how we detoxify. And that has to do with when you are like eating, taking things in, and it has to go through um your body and those pathways. When you drink it, it's not going through it's absorbing into the bloodstream straight, the same way you would put it on your skin. But somehow with our skin, because of how we get rid of toxins, the skin can be tricky. People can get reactions. It's so much safer a few drops drinking in water. And it's just I just want to really reiterate that for people as medicine, uh,
Mhm.
because we just see so much individual variation. And I know one thing Erin wanted to bring up. She's had some difficulty with the VMG herself with constipation. Did you want to say that,
Yeah.
Erin?
Yeah. Yeah. I was
Which
curious. Oh, go ahead.
which is as right, which is a old symptom or way your body reacts to things like that. For you is like if your body's not sure, or so yeah,
And then
it's
I have pelvic floor issues, so I can't
uh-huh.
get constipated. It's not something I like to mess with.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask it, Mika, if you wanted to talk about if people are having, so that's like the idea. We have a bell curve, and like so many people are doing amazing on the VMG, and yet there's people who are outside that kind of big norm over here on the ends who are having, like as with anything, her body is reacting in a way. There are a lot of ingredients in the VMG. And so there's ways to approach it, and there's ways to try and to work with it. And I don't know if you wanted to speak to that at all, Mika, like what have you come across that with patients, or how you would recommend people kind of working with that?
Well, the first thing I would think of is that it's not a bad thing that the VMG is actually chelating or like Pac-Manning more than uh with something else that you were taking. So basically just Pac-Manning something in the VMG is grabbing on to toxins in your body, and then you're dumping in your phase one of the liver, but that phase two is needs to be upregulated.
Okay.
So then that would be fairy frankincense tea with your daughters every morning, and make sure you're doing, and I think you do, the lemon or citrus in your water every day. So, and also intestinal movement. No, the what's the one?
Zendocrine?
Yeah, endocrine complex. Like maybe it is actually looking at the cleanse, not doing the cleanse, but that part where you're doing the endocrine complex more, 3 times a day.
Yeah. And
Well,
I would say, and also since I know Erin, you continuing with the alpha CRS part of the LLV.
yeah.
And I know you had issues at first with the turmeric,
Oh
but then
shoot.
it
That's
got
true. The turmeric gave me
helpful.
issues at first. Now I love the turmeric. I take
Yeah,
it
so the
today.
turmeric is the big face to what Dr. Mika is talking about. So is alpha CRS helping. So I would continue to take the alpha CRS and the turmeric and then everything and up in the zendocrine.
Yeah.
Okay, great. I'm going to try that and report
Yeah.
back.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have a question about if you're taking the VMG, are you recommending to add in the alpha CRS for the added polyphenols?
For people who are familiar, like it's too much to throw at people who aren't familiar with our whole kind of line. But if you're familiar with our products, I kind of and Dr. Mika, you can say what you think. I would put in a similar category: deep blue polyphenol complex, alpha CRS, the turmeric duo cap, and even the frankincense cap.
Mhm.
Obviously, the turmeric duo and the frankincense are more specific. They're more of one powerful thing, well, two powerful things in two forms in those caps. So you can think versus the deep blue polyphenol complex is it goes, those caps are the most specific. And then the formula of the deep blue polyphenol complex, those heavy hitter polyphenols in amounts. And then the most broad, like the most ingredients and broad, but still a wonderful polyphenol complex would be the alpha CRS. So you could alternate them, you could layer them, you know, depending on how much support you need.
Mhm. I think, the thing that we have to all remember and learn as we come into doTERRA is we have a very robust solution catalog.
Yeah. Yes,
And
right. And wait, so Marilyn is asking, she's like, are you recommending to take out, the VMG plus this and plus this? It depends on what you are working with and what your symptoms are and how much support you need. So I think we go off of what is going on for me in my life, and do I have symptoms? Do I have issues that I would like to support more? Um I would say the baseline would be something like either the LLV or the VMG and omegas, adding in the probiotic. And then the next kind of thing would be looking at something like one of the polyphenols out of those four.
yes, and that's why we have this model where you have a wellness advocate that enrolled you with doTERRA, and that's your person to go to. And if you are the wellness advocate and somebody comes to you and you don't know the answer, that's where you can come to all of us who've been around for a while and go to
So
the.
Maryland is don't get overwhelmed, Maryland. So I like to we have a robust catalog of stuff. Sometimes on this call we go to advanced levels. There's people who've been working a long time and they want to know the specifics and the differences. But that's why we also scale it back and we say, hey, if you're feeling overwhelmed, go back to the foundational wellness, right? Just doing those. And that is like 99% better than all of America. I mean, it's just like really, really, really powerful right there. The omegas oils themselves are of so much anti-inflammatory action. So you're saying it's feeling overwhelming, then just work like if there's one of those polyphenols that you have enjoyed taking and you've used before, stick with that. That's fine. You don't have to alternate. We're not saying go into a schedule and alternate things. It's like we're just giving options and talking about, variations for people.
See, is that, and you know this, uh, you say it all the time, and Arin says it, and Aisha says it, but you really just got to stick to the foundational at first for a long, long time. That's how you get results. You're building up cellularly over time to have strong, integrous cells. And that takes time. And so it's not like an on and off thing. It's you deepening your relationship with yourself and with the uh, foundational wellness package or the LLV or VMG, and you just don't drop it. That's how you get results. Just stay with it. We call it stacking. Stack your things. I stack my life. I stack my supplements. I have a program, and because I don't want to betray myself, and this is one of the things how I take care of myself when with the supplementation and staying on track with it, so I can
Yeah.
do all the things I want to do. And so maybe it's just the LLV or VMG plus the essential fatty omegas, and then the probiotics at first. And you do that for 6 months to a year, and then you add on. So,
And Marilyn was feeling overwhelmed. She says she takes the VMG, the E Omega, frankincense. I don't know if that's the oil, Terrazyme, and PB Restore. That's fantastic. Stay there. And then she added chlorella. I love chlorella. Then you're doing that's and that's just her AM. So that's fantastic. It's you don't need to add these things if there isn't something specific going on. I'd like to switch to just talk for a minute about let's talk about fiber and protein and exercise. I didn't get to talk about that much in the program. Women, I think, do I see a guy on, I don't see a guy on here, so I'm gonna say I'm gonna talk to us. Strength training is crucial. It's a thing. So as you get into perimenopause and then to menopause. So you get to figure that out, how that works into your life. You can take a little kettlebell class and buy 2 or 3 kettlebells and you do like for 15 minutes, you do like 5 rounds of 10 things 10 reps of 5 different exercises 3 times a week. That can be all it is. It doesn't have to be huge. It doesn't have to be insurmountable, but it's very important for our bones and our metabolic health as we age. And when we eat, when we exercise, we need to have protein in us. We most women are not getting enough protein. And I will say when I was a naturopath, I was like all against whey isolate uh, protein concentrate because I thought, oh, it's too processed and stuff. I have changed my tune. I uh I love the doTERRA whey concentrate, the chocolate protein, compared to so many of the other ones out there. It is so much cleaner. It has such less sugar and all of the other crap. I mean, even from the health food stores, even from the doctor line stuff. I usually I create, I just was drinking it. You guys were seeing me a scoop of the chocolate protein powder. I think it tastes better than the vanilla. You get to choose that. Um, I do either some really good yogurt or you could just decide your shake, but what's really high in protein is yogurt and what's higher is cottage cheese. Sometimes I do cottage cheese. I freeze berries. I have blueberries and raspberries. I do a big scoop of that and water. And that's what's in my shake. Oh, and creatine. So creatine is the missing thing. We don't have that in our formula line. You want 5 grams of creatinine on the days you exercise at the very least or every day. And I put that in with my protein powder and I mix it up and I drink it ideally before or right after. And I do my MetaPower collagen right before, and I take a couple sips of this before I leave for the gym. I drink about that much before the gym, and then the rest of it after the gym. And it has about 40 grams of protein in it.
Josie, can you explain what creatine does for us? It has something to do with muscle and bone.
Yeah, gosh, that's it, Asha. It's huge with our muscle building and the integrity of muscles and metabolic health as well. You just Google it, start reading about it. Yeah, your brain, your volume is off. I always forget it. It's that I need more for my brain, like goes in and then
I
it's
just saw a study, and I'll try to find
yeah,
how to send you, that talked about the importance of using creatine if you're sleep deprived, which, hello, isn't that one of the things that happens for
yeah.
us?
It's it's kind of one of those things. And um that it just becomes like important to get that in. I am getting more protein in as I exercise. I'm getting the creatine in. I am doing strength training and fiber, everybody. let's go quickly the ways we balance our blood sugar. We have the MetaPower Assist, right? That has the berberine and the chrysanthemums and the oil blend in it that we take. That's our cheat. That's like fiber. That's like helping dampen the glucose spike. Fiber does that too. Let's say you don't have the metabolic assist. Eat vegetables first before you eat protein or carbs. Eat the fiber first. If you're not eating any vegetables, like my husband who doesn't eat any vegetables hardly, get a fiber powder you like. I've gone through all the fiber powders in the world, and the doTERRA one is amazing. The doTERRA fiber powder, I love that stuff. I think it tastes like hot apple cider. So
And it
drink it
has
in cold water,
prebiotics in
drink it
it.
in warm water as tea. It doesn't matter. It's both are great. Get that stuff in. There's all these, like, look at all the flexibility you have there. You could drink the doTERRA fiber. You could eat your vegetables. You could take the MetaPower Assist. You could do a couple of those before the meal. Apple cider vinegar, carry around a little thing of that. Do that before the meal. 10-minute, get up as soon as you eat and walk for 10 minutes or go up the stairs 5 times. These are all little habit stacking things we can do for our metabolic health that informs the rest of our hormone health. Sorry,
And
I just
don't forget
We are
MetaPower,
we need to close
the
up too.
herbal, and the gel cap if you have
all
gluten.
through the day, the MetaPower oil, the gel caps, so important. I don't do those right before a meal because it makes me like for at least half an hour, I don't want to eat anything. Like the taste in my mouth. Like that's good to curb cravings and for help with energy. But I'm talking like right as you're eating your meal.
All right. This is awesome. Please don't get overwhelmed, everybody. Get excited. Think of it this way. You have access to a naturopath's apothecary through your doTERRA account. It doesn't mean you have to get on everything, doesn't mean you have to overwhelm your system, but you just have the resource available to you of these incredible support systems. And we're here to guide you and to help you figure out where to start. So I just want to bring it back in closing that if you're on the hormonal journey, start with the foundational wellness, the Clary Calm and the phytoestrogen, right, Josie? Start there. See how that feels.
Yes. So, I mean, just that, I want people to also, yeah, I would love for them to be daily on a citrus oil in their water for their liver, and ideally a frankincense, 1 to 2 drops under the tongue, together with the phytoestrogen caps, the Clary Calm. Do it as your deodorant, ladies. Are they coming back with the mist? You can use any carrier oil, anything you like, any of the carrier oils, but this is my favorite. I still have one left of the body mist. I just go squirt, 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 roll on that. This is my deodorant, and I'm getting my lymph. 1, 2, 3, over, over, over. You get it on, and then rub it into your belly. That's the Clary Calm. Phytoestrogen. It's it's lifestyle wellness, and it will support you all the way through.
I just want to say one thing, and I know we're probably running over, Erin, but you guys, this information that Dr. Josie is giving us and all of this information, this is like a $400 consult at least. So I this is we just keep repeating the same things, but really this is so valuable. This information is so incredibly valuable. Thank you, Dr. Josie.
Thank you, Dr.
Yes.
Mika. And I wait a minute, there's more. I think at convention they're going to come out with doTERRA, right? Castor oil.
Oh, yes. Yes, there's
That's what they
rumors.
Oh,
dangled
yes,
to
I
us.
heard
I
that.
think it's coming. So I just don't want to end this without saying, yeah, Mika's like, can you talk a little bit like do the hormone for it? So when you talk about hormones on the belly with the hormone formula and making a hormone formula, do it in the castor oil. Rub it on your belly through your cycle and after. If you're gonna do, if I'm gonna do a hormone with some essential oils and castor oil for my vaginal, like see the two fingers, my vaginal health, right? In lieu or in addition to an estrogen cream. You want to do that, right? Yeah, Mika's on her head. We want to do that with the castor oil. Yeah. It
Oh, you got us excited, you guys. We can talk
remember
for
we do
hours
the
about
Frank
this.
we do the castor oil on the eyebrows and for a little bit of hair health and our eyelashes as well. So,
Oh, so many things. Thank you, Dr. Josie. Thank you, Erin. Thank you, Dr. Mika. We are a little bit past time, so we need to wrap it up, and I do have a couple announcements. If you did miss the hormone class, I put the link in the thread, and it is on our YouTube channel under the Essential Wellness playlist. So you'll have to look for the playlist. And last month was the kickoff of doing we're bringing back our Essential Wellness events, which is a once a month kind of deep dive into a topic. So our next one is June 10th, and it's on the MetaPower. Dr. Josie and I will be giving this presentation. It's at 11 a.m. I just put the link in the chat. It's on the information is on Eventbrite, so you'll need to register there for the Zoom link and you can join us live and then we'll send out the recording. So we're really excited about that. And then we're going to continue this model where we're going to do a deep dive into a topic and then for the MetaPower, the following Monday will be the open Q&A call, so you can come with questions and we'll have ongoing dialogue and deep dives into that topic. And then the oils A to Z call next Monday will also be on the MetaPower oil. So in June, we're doing kind of a deep dive into the MetaPower system, the MetaPower oil, which is a wonderful continuation after the hormones. So we're really excited about everything we have to dive into in June. And as always, thank you. And as Dr. Mika said, the value of information that is shared is just, I mean, I don't know that we really can put a price tag on it because it really is something that is so incredibly valuable. So we are so thankful. And the last thing I do want to leave you with is just the power of these daily habits. And many of us have now been using the oils and all these supplements for, 10, 15 years with regular use. And I'm really seeing a drastic difference in how our community is aging versus other friends that have not been doing this for so many years and seeing how their aging process is very different. So I think we all are, kind of our own walking testimonials for the power of these daily habits and the real difference they make. Sometimes it's hard to see that in your own life on the daily, but I definitely see it as a community. So thank you all so very much. Have a wonderful day, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week. Bye bye.